Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. Today I'm going to be doing pack 9 of the Hachette Partworks release, Build the U96 U-Boat. So we've got 4 stages to work from today, and there's a lot of sprues in here. So before I jump straight into it, I want to just tell you about a couple of tools I'm using because I know you're going to be asking about them. Now the first one is, seeing as I can't get my brush on glue anymore, I've got this little gadget here. All this is a little tiny screwdriver with a pin stuck in the end, and then I wrapped insulating tape out. So I've got a metal pin on the end of a screwdriver. That's all that is. And then I've got this little lid which I'm actually putting my CA glue in, so that will enable me to just tap it in and put it on nice and gently until I can find a brush on solution. The other thing, I managed to pick up from Telford, believe it or not, is Scour Model World Show, and this is the creme de la creme of sprue cutters. Now you've seen these sprue cutters before. It's got one bladed side, one flat side, so that actually cuts perfectly clean. Now I'm not going to lie to you, these are quite expensive. I believe these are about £50, but this will be the only pair of sprue cutters you're ever going to need to buy. They do come with a protective case as well. So if you see me using this, I am using Godsend sprue cutters, and I'll put a link in the video description there of where I'm actually buying them from. As you can see, these are so brand new, I haven't even opened them yet, but let's get them open and show you what they look like. This is how they look, and as you see, they do come with a leather fur-lined pouch to keep that stored into, but that's what I'm using. Now, if you want to get this for yourself, I have put a link in the video description. There's also a QR code on the screen. Only 4 stages, but I think it's going to take quite a while because there is a lot of sprue cutting and a lot of gluing. Without further ado, let's get cracking. So I just need the parts for stage 33 first. Let's get these open. And the first thing I need is this little connector here. And I also need the section that we've been working on previously. More to the point, I need the bottom of this section, because what I'm going to do, and probably best on the top camera, is I'm going to be putting this little adapter here into the position just here. Now there are lugs on this side that are going to go into these holes. Just line them up, and I'm screwing that in with a DP screw. Now I'm very conscious that the DP screws aren't labelled, but it's the one with 2 in a bag. They tell us what the screws are, but they don't label the bag, so that makes it more of a challenge. Okay. Who says we don't like a challenge on the World of Wayne YouTube channel? But there you go. That's in just like that. I can put that to one side. So, I'm going to take these 2 sections down. Quite simply, I'm just putting these 2 sections together. Just, whoops. I think they actually go around the other way. Is there a way? Yes. So that's fitting flat in there, looking just like that. So if you have a look just on the end section here, probably on the top camera, we've got 1, 2, 3 holes. And we're going to be lining them up with this here. So this is going to be fun. Now, before I put this on, you can make sure this is lined up correctly by looking at this edge just here underneath. So that is lined up exactly where it needs to go. Got the AP screw, and I think what I'll do, I'll just put one through the middle first. Perfect, and that's basically put that in place, and then I've got 2 more to put either side. Now we're not going to need this hull assembly for a while, but having that bit on there is just adding a little bit more reinforcement, as you can see there. So let me just put this to one side, and I want to bring over this massive bulkhead that we got here, and this is where I'm going to need to get my gluing devices out. So I'm just going to put some glue just into this trough here. Actually lasts quite a bit of time in there without having to dry. And the first thing I'm going to do is going to be putting this panel here into this section here, which means I just need to glue along these edges. You don't want to glue, like the instruction says, the round sections here, because that's going to be fruitless. There's not really much for it to grip onto. So as you can see, I'm not being too precise, but I am just ensuring that we've got enough glue on this panel here to actually get this in. So push this in here and just hold that into place. Perfect. I have got a little bit of oil on here. That's not glue, that's oil. Okay, we've got some tiny details on this sprue now, which are going to be going in. What I want to do now is detach these chains looking like that. So I am going to use my brand new God Hand sprue cutters, and they go through this like butter. Such a clean cut as well. And to give you an example of that clean cut, this was the edge that I cut off here, and as you can see, there's no flashing or anything. That's perfect. Okay, you can see where these go on the top camera. Actually, let me zoom this camera up just a touch, because there is sort of like an indent here. So as you can see, this one is going to go there, and this one is going to go just there. So I'm going to glue them into place. Now I've got this square detail, which I'm going to cut off. This time I'm going to be putting some glue just on the edges here and here, because there is a direction that this goes in. This goes in like that, with the little tab facing up right there. The two other details we've got here, I'm just going to cut them off. One is just going in the channel just there. Perfect. And the other one's just going into this little indent here. It's quite forgiving showing where these go, because there is an indent for everything there, but they're in place. That's also one sprue completed. Now I have this little part which isn't on a sprue. This is on its own here. I'm just going to be putting some glue on either edge here, because that's going there. The blank panel that I've got on this sprue, let's cut that off. Again, the tiniest amount of glue, but it's going to go on that elevated panel like that, that way round. Looking good, very detailed. The next panel, which is B, this is the one without the buttons on the side. It goes into that position just there. C looks very similar, but we do have buttons on one side. Those buttons do need to face towards the centre of this bulkhead. So that's just going onto the point just there, like that. And then finally, the last detail here, again, just some glue on the sides here, is just going to go into this centre section here. Push that in, so that looks like that. And that's all there is to do in that stage. Now I can put this whole thing to one side and bring over stage 34. It doesn't look to be too much to do in that, although we do have quite a few sprues again. So first thing I want on this sprue is H and F. Let's get them cut off. Once again, a little bit of glue on the edges, because I'm going to be piecing these two parts together. Perfect, looking like that. I do have this bulkhead here that I need to cut off, because that's just going to go into the position here. I'm just putting some glue just around the edges of that section there, so that I may push that in. Perfect, fitting like that. Then I've got these dials. So these are I, J and K. So I is just going into this section here with the tab part facing upwards. So let me just push this in. That looks like that. Let me cut off J. J is going into the circle just over this side. And because the alignment of the tab on the back, it can only go one way, which means the final one is just going into the middle there, in the same direction as the one we just put in. Perfect. Took some clicking in, but that's the dials in there. The last sprue I've got, well actually I've got two lots of sprues here. We've got some wheels on this. So let's cut these first wheels off. They're the two big ones, and now I need these two little ones. It's the two little ones I'm going to be using first, because I'm going to be dotting them into these 2 points here. So one there and one here. Use my tweezers to help get these in. That's one. And that one's two. These tiny blue details here I am wearing my magnifying glasses because these are really small. There's a little indent for these to go into these two positions here. So that's one. And that one's two. Very fiddly. Then I've got the really big wheels now. They're going into the holes just at the bottom of this piping here on either side. Just a case of pushing these in. So there's one there and one here. Took some snapping in to get them so they're the same level, but that's looking good. Another empty sprue. So then the last sprue looks just like this. I need E first, which is this last large, what is this? Deckhead. We're working on this section now. That deckhead's going to go in here. I need this rectangular section. Again, glue just either side and get that pushed into this point down here. Excellent. I need this square one, which is going in here. This one that looks like a pipe, that's going to go into this hole just there, and it's pointing towards the left. Perfect, which means the last one I've got is this round one here. That's going into the top hole just there. So that's in like that. Now I just want to check this part here again, because I put this together, but we haven't actually done anything with it. I need to see where that goes. Ah, okay. It goes on this piece just here. I missed that right out at the beginning. It's going into just this hole here. Don't know what that is, but there you go. That's in. That's all there is to do in that stage. In stage 35, a lot more details, as you can see. Loads of these little tiny details. I'm going to want J first, looking like this. Again, I put the glue just on one edge here and here, and it does have a way to go round, as you can see. The next detail is this one. That's going into this very top one here. Smaller one here with a hole in it. That's going into the slot just there. Looks like we're adding loads to this. This small box here, which looks like it's got buttons on again. Again, just glue the sides and it will really make it tidy when you put it in. You won't be getting glue everywhere. That's going into the point just at the top here. And then I've got this large box finally on this sprue. This is just going to go down the bottom just here. So that's one sprue completed. The next sprue we're working on looks like this. So probably best to assume that I've already glued these now, because I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. Just show you where they're all going. So the one we just glued up here is going here. The next one here goes in the position down the bottom there. This dial is going to be going into this position just here. And then finally this box here is going underneath this one just like that. So that's another sprue done. This is the next sprue we're working from. So I'm going to be taking part E now, which goes down into this section here. Then F, which is just this small flat section, which just goes next to it. Part I is going just at the top here. Part H, which is the thicker one of these without the dot, is going into this part just there. And then finally the last grey part on this sprue is this one with the dot on it, and that's just going to go into that point just there. So now that's how that's looking. Now I've got these pieces, so I'll take C out first, I think. That's going into this area just here, facing upwards, like that. I've got this larger piece here, which I'm just going to be putting some glue either side of here, because it's actually going onto this panel, just like that. Detail B, which looks like binoculars, is just going into the panel here. And then finally, this long detail here, they're not telling me the name of these details, unfortunately. It's going into these two panels just here, facing upwards. So that's how that looks. A couple more panels I'm just going to do a quick dry fit for. This brown, looks like a shelf, is going to go into the points here. And as you can see, there is a way round it goes, so let me just glue that in. And then finally we've got this bent pipe to go in. And again, I'm just going to put some glue either side of this base, because this is going to go right here. Perfect. And now that is all there is to do in that stage. So we're going to do the central periscope now, and as you can see, we've got lots of little tiny bits again. But the first two bits that I need are part of the central periscope here, which does mean that I am just going to be putting some glue just into the points here, and I will put just a little bit on the edges so I can now link these two parts together. Perfect, looking like that. So this is actually just going to be going into the panel just here. Again, some glue on this, just on those edges that I know are going to touch. They've got it with the details facing left, so if I just get this in, as you can see, the details are on this side facing the rest of this. Now this is the exhaust valve hand wheel. Now this wheel isn't attached to any sprue, this was just loose. That's going to be going here. Perfect. Then I've got quite a bit of pipe work to go in here, but this pipe work, if I just do a dry fit, it's going to go into these points just here. So let me just get some glue into the holes here, here, and here. It's looking good. I need the two larger wheels now on this wheel sprue. They're going to be going into the points here and here. Now I need two of the small wheels. There's basically 3 medium, 3 small. So let's just take 2 of the small ones. They're going to go into the 2 holes here. Just notice my periscope has fallen out. I will fix that in a second. Then I need some of these middle-sized wheels. These are going to go into the points just at the top here. And one just in the hole just there. Perfect. Another sprue here. Let's cut this brown circular section off. It's going to be going round this detail here. So I'm just going to put glue just around the outside. And it is a certain way round it goes, because you've got this tab here. But it can only go in one way because it's wider at one side than the other. But that's in. Got another thing here which resembles binoculars. Excellent. 2 tiny details here which I'm going to need to cut off and then join together. There certainly is a lot to do in this stage, and it is all fiddly stuff. So I'll get these 2 together, show you what this looks like. There you go. And what I'm going to do is just on the end here, I'm going to glue what we've just created here onto the end of this pipe. So it's going to go in, oh, perhaps probably best to put it in. Bit of glue on this end so it's on like that. So this pipe here is going to go into the points 1, 2 and 3 here. So I'm hoping my voice is soothing, because to me it looks like you're just watching me doing what could theoretically be a jigsaw puzzle, just putting parts into a unit here. So one this side, 1, 2 and 3. That's gone in perfect. So that's looking like that. I've got a flatter one going down the bottom here. This sprue, so I'm cutting off this section and piecing these two parts together. Now there is a part which goes in between these, which is part A. Cutting that off here. So I put that part in just like this, and then I close these two parts together. Perfect, so that's how that looks. Now I've got this larger detail here, so I'm just cutting off the sprue. Now, in the notch on this side, put some glue around this. I've got this detail here, which can only go in one way. And then in the ends, just into this section, I've got this detail just here. So that's made that whole unit like that. Now we've got one hand wheel left. Just take that off. This is the small one. That hand wheel is just going to go into this hole here. So that's how that part's looking. And then quite simply, we're just going to be putting some glue into this hole here. This is going to be going this way round, just like that. I've got some green wheels here, so I need one large one, 2 small ones. Again, get me glue ready, because we're going to have one green one here and one green one here. These are the smaller ones, and then I want the larger one to be going into the hole just here, which means I've got 2 left. Let's just cut these off. These are going to be going onto these holes just either side here. I have the large one to the right, and the smaller one to the left. Now, we don't actually get to put this pipe in, because that is all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack, and I'm sure you'll agree, we've done quite a lot here. So we've basically done that whole section there. We worked on this bulkhead here, and obviously we put that large bit underneath the keel section of the hull. Now you can see, while I was talking about these God-hand sprue cutters, let me just put them neatly away and take this off, which is probably going to leave a mark on my head. I don't think I would have been able to do it without these, which is pretty crazy, but that looks really impressive. Look at that. How cool is that? Now, once again, if you do want to get this for yourself, I have put a link in the video description. There's also a QR code on the screen, but I really hope you like that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.